Transmitting to you from Old Heart Radio.
Batman movie for the first time and being like, oh my god, like I sat in the theater for 3 hours.
And it was a slow burn.
It was a very slow burn. This is not a slow burn, however. This is a podcast. Welcome to Matinee Edition.
Some could argue it is a slow burn.
Episode 22. Double deuce.
Double deuce. Whew. You know, you have to go with Coffee and Contemplation. Oof. Is it double deuce what happens when you listen to too many Coffee and Contemplations?
That's exactly what happens.
Really rustles you up.
Oh, man.
Like a couple shots of espresso.
I do have another couple of those I'm popping out. I recorded one.
Double deuces?
Double deuces. I got to pause this real quick. I'll be back. No, I got a couple new Coffee and Contemplations finally ready to go.
Nice.
So I'll be getting those up this next week. For anybody listening,
please.
Hopefully.
Please listen.
So, brand new week, brand new me. Is it a brand new you?
I mean, I feel relatively the same.
Ah, that's good.
That's good. You have less discs in your back.
Yeah, I got...
Or one in the wrong place.
It's compressed. Yeah.
Hey!
Herniated disc.
Woo!
All right, but we're...
Yeah.
Partay.
Yay.
Woot woot. But realistically, I don't know if we were really here to talk about my herniated discs.
Yeah, this isn't...
Well, I mean, we can talk about whatever the fuck we want, really.
Yeah, it's our podcast.
I guess that's kind of true.
Deal with it.
Deal with it.
Change the name to Matinee Doctor Visit.
You know, I did have this idea for a podcast called Hogan's Health Tips, where it's like literally like just like a good health tip, but you just like you gotta say it like it's like presented to you like Hulk Hogan, you know? Yeah.
brother, you gotta do more crunches, brother.
Get after it, brother.
That's the only tagline we're using.
I saw this. Hulk Hogan posted. I didn't even know Hulk Hogan had an Instagram. Hulk Hogan posted on The Rock's photo of the Rock put up or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was something to the effect of like, "Oh, you're amazing, you know, blah 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 blah. Much respect, brother." And I was like, he even wrote it. Like he even took the time to write it out. It's like
it's probably an exclamation point.
Oh man, it's
two R's at the end.
I feel like Hulk. I completely kind of forgot about Hulk Hogan. Honestly.
I don't think anyone ever forgot, but they just pushed him aside.
No, I think I just straight up forgot about him. Honestly.
Really?
Because I... That sounds so stupid, yeah. But, like, I just kind of forgot that he was just not... This sounds bad, but he was just not dead.
He does seem like one of those... He did seem like one of those stars that had died. Like, well, I'll get back.
One of those stars that died that you might... not remember.
Yeah.
Like, I made the mistake of being around Spencer once, and I completely forgot that Tom Petty died.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And so I turned to him, and I asked, I was like, hey, is Tom Petty dead?
I was like, my dad the other day had an argument with me about whether Peter Gabriel was still alive.
It's so weird. I mean, some people stick with you, others don't, man.
Spencer with Tom Petty was pretty like, hey, pay respect.
Dude, I feel like he just...
He's an artist.
I feel like he lost respect for me after I had to ask him that. But I needed to know, man.
Did you know what Tom Petty said the day he died when he was going off stage at that concert in LA?
What?
He said, I'm gonna go take a long nap.
Oh,
and then
shit.
He went down, laid down, and died.
Is that true?
Yep.
Holy fuck.
As he was leaving stage.
That's fucking eerie as shit.
I know. It's sort of creepy.
That's really creepy.
Sort of also weirdly peaceful.
I mean, like, at least he called it for himself, you know? Like,
imagine that. All right, everybody. I'm going to go home and die.
I'm
really tired. I'm deathly tired.
I'm really tired. I'm going to go die. Like, that's fucking rough.
Shout to Jennifer. Go with
playing a show on November 14th at the fucking Capitol, the backstage or whatever.
Yeah, backstage theater, whatever the fuck they're calling it.
Capitol Theater.
Olympia Film Society.
Yeah. OFS.
Yeah, he's opening for Dude York, right?
Yeah, Dude York, and it's playing with O Rose also.
Cool.
So it actually should be a pretty cool show.
I'd love to. Hey, I'll have to go watch that one.
You might have to catch it.
Yeah.
Give us tickets.
Yeah, please. We're plugging you. So, actual film news.
Yeah.
should we talk about first? Should we do a Scorsese first?
Yeah, let's talk. Okay.
All right.
So I don't know if anybody else has been paying attention. Martin Scorsese recently made some comments, kind of just naysaying big Marvel movie. I mean, that wasn't like I don't
Marvel
know if it
type
was exclusively
filmmaking.
Marvel movies, but it was definitely like
I feel like
directed
Hobbs
at-
and Shaw could fit into that category.
yeah, like
More so.
big franchise movies.
Yeah.
Right? And he was saying that he's basically just like equating them to like not being cinema, not being art.
He said they were like a. He said there was like a theme park.
Yeah, and I mean whatever the fuck that means.
Yeah.
Like to him,
I
get
I
the
understand
gist.
what he means.
Very strange, like theme
Analogy.
park. Yeah. I was just like, okay.
I completely understand what he means because it very much is like these. It's not. I think his perspective on filmmaking is like a heightened reality of the real world, but still like rooted in the real world. So
Yeah,
like what I immediately think of some as like gangster films. I mean, like he just recently put out The Irishman, which is
Yeah.
3.5 hours long, and I watched the first hour of so far.
Well, so one of his things is that like I think he's just, and I don't mean to like naysay Scorsese, but I think he's just kind of butthurt that like he can't release films in theater anymore.
Yeah,
Like because theaters only want to show only want to show movies that are making money, and like money makers are these huge like bigger attractions. And that's where I think the theme park kind of thing comes from, perhaps.
And I feel
but-
like cinema, I mean, like in cinema viewing experiences have moved in that direction, but there still is a place for these art house style films.
totally.
And I don't think that's anything against his style of filmmaking, and based on his comments, it almost seems like he took it personally.
I think so too. Like I don't know. I think he's like holding this torch, like oh fine, like I'll take this, you
Yeah.
know, and run with it. But it's like I don't know. Like
I feel like-
I think everybody else kind of understands that there's a difference.
Yeah, I feel like,
You know,
like it's not direct to like TV or direct to rental. Sort of has this weird like negative connotation to it that only shitty movies do that. Yet I feel like we've had this like overwhelming level of quality that's been going to streaming services as of lately.
Well, and that's kind of it. Like
Yeah.
everything's moving towards streaming. Everything's moving towards online.
Yeah.
Even like movies being released in theaters. Like you see, like those numbers may be big for some movies,
Yeah.
but like that shit is not like where the money's at or where
mean-
the viewership is really at. Like
I think the best example is look at El Camino.
yeah,
Limited theatrical release over the weekend it was released, and it came to Netflix at the same time. If you really gave a shit about the experience, you were able to go watch it in theaters.
totally.
And then also something that comes to mind for me is Annihilation with Natalie Portman from about a year back. Did you
Yeah.
ever watch that?
I have. Yeah.
That
that shit was fucking intense.
it was
honestly.
a cool movie.
yeah.
It went straight to theaters in the U.S. Everywhere else it went straight to Netflix. And then after
really?
the theatrical run in the U.S. went straight to Netflix. So
yeah.
all the foreign release was Netflix.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So,
And it's interesting to think of because that's a really good movie and it's sort of got that artistic-y touch to it as well.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's definitely not like it wasn't. It's definitely not like a franchise movie. That's
yeah,
for sure.
it's not like a widespread crowd pleaser. Ooh, knocking the shit over. It's not
Mail.
not the mail. It's not like a franchise crowd pleasing movie that's gonna make a fuck ton of money, but it has a place and people were able to appreciate it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I think I feel like maybe just Scorsese, and much respect to him, I think maybe he's just not like cool personally with how things are now.
Yeah.
And like that's like the Irishman's like it's on Netflix now.
Yeah, it's a Netflix.
Okay, because it
was
had
a
a limited
Netflix original.
It had a limited release again,
Yeah.
like El Camino. But I think that's his thing. Is like he's just kind of like butthurt that like people are considering like Marvel movies to be Oscar worthy or Marvel movies to be like the same category as some of these other like I don't know like just different types of storytelling.
Yeah.
Like, and that's kind of what, like, I keep saying Marvel movies, but like, franchise movies.
I feel
Franchise
like-
movies are meant to be these building universes for themselves. Like,
I'd just like to say the first of these big blockbuster franchises to win an Oscar was Suicide Squad.
wait.
It won Best
wait.
Makeup Design
Oh, that's so
and
gross.
Best Prosthetic Design
That's so
at
gross.
the Oscars. Which,
But
if,
would you count-
if it that's the one thing that movie deserved to be credited on, in my opinion. Like,
I guess if anything.
yeah, like that's the one thing. But it says something that like that movie, which no one gave a fuck about,
Yeah.
won that shit. the Marvel movies are done with such a level of care that the dude might not be able to appreciate that, but everybody that has grown up with those characters in the form of comics or in some other medium, whether it's like people my age that watch the cartoons in like the late 90s, early 2000s, or people that read the comics. It's interesting to see like it shows the different perspectives on filmmaking and on like the character study, just because people grew up with this stuff and it's a super honest recreation. I feel like that's where a lot of the appreciation comes from. I feel like
for people, yeah.
I feel like he's hearkening even the MCU movies, which are done with a staggering level of care when you look into it, to like love them, like we love them for what they are, but like the Fast and Furious films or like the Transformers movies, like where it is just boom, explosions, popcorn flying all around like that. It's a different experience.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what he's like. He had to start backtracking because he started getting backlash for it. Like, ever since
people
those
getting
comments.
pissed.
And like, you know, people that he's like he probably looks at with respect too. Yeah. Started saying like, I don't think you know what you're talking about.
Like, I mean, like you said before we started recording, we were talking about this, and it's like James Gunn.
Yeah, James Gunn,
like, I look up to this man, and he's shitting on my work.
He put like this like Instagram post up that was like basically like yo, like people like me have looked up to you. Yeah. You know, from the get go of our careers, and like hearing you shit on us is like you don't realize that like the influence that you laid for us is like what's making these movies. Yeah, it's like that's what's fucking crazy.
Scorsese is such a monumental filmmaker that has made so many quality movies that his influence is not just being felt in like these finely crafted artsy movies.
His influence is all over the place.
Fuck, you can find like Scorsese-esque characters in any genre of film.
It's crazy. Yeah. And so I just wanted to read this though, because this was his backtrack kind of statement that he made after he got all that backlash. Yeah. And he said, the tentpole films, the big comic book films, they're theme park movies. Yeah. As well done as many of them are at all levels. It's a different cinema form or a new art form entirely. We're hoping there are theaters that show the films that are not that. And if they're going to show if that filmmaker he said if they're not going to show if the filmmakers still have an opportunity then at least the filmmakers still have an opportunity with streaming. It changes the experience, but otherwise in 2 or 3 years you're not going to have any like theaters. He's alluding to like not having any theaters showing different films other than big franchise
movies. Which I
movies.
Understand, and I actually agree with that.
Well,
point.
And that's exactly it. Like that's what like streaming has led to. Streaming has led to that avenue where you get like honestly, if you're looking for a different experience, you're getting all sorts of different amazing types of work on Netflix, on fucking Prime.
It's became an avenue for risk taking in the medium.
Absolutely.
Because they could just very well be pumping all that shit out. Yeah, as an example, something that we love, Stranger Things got denied by 4 TV networks before it went to Netflix.
Which is insane.
And it's like one of the best shows on TV right now.
Like every one of those networks is kicking their ass because of that.
I think the Duffer Brothers were like, we went to ABC, we went to NBC, we went to Fox, and they went to TNT. And then they went to Netflix.
My God. Yeah. I can't believe none of them picked that shit up.
Yeah. I think that just speaks to it. It's like there's avenues for risk-taking and sort of different expressions other than the mainstream blockbuster film, which, in my opinion, deserves to belong in a theater. You don't get the same experience if you're not in a theater.
Well, definitely. And
if I'm watching like a down-to-earth, like, mafioso drama, I can watch that on my couch and get relatively the same experience.
Perhaps. I mean, that again, like that experience thing is kind of subjective because it's just sort of like... Yeah. I mean... I can understand, like, in his argument, it's like the opposite, you know, where it's like people want to have the experience of going and seeing that gangster movie in the theater. Yeah. And
I feel like that's changing, though.
I think either way, people want to have the fucking option of the experience. And like, that is what hasn't changed. But what's changed is just the monetary value attached to each movie has grown significantly more important than anything else, any other factor in terms of going to these movies.
Going into the 2000s, the highest grossing films were like below $1 billion. Yeah. Like the highest, and now we have fucking $2.8 billion with Avengers Endgame.
Dude, they're saying Joker's on track to make as much money as Avengers Infinity War.
Yeah.
Which
I saw that was getting ready to break Deadpool 2's record
Yep.
for R-rated filmmaking.
Which, oh man, okay, so let's just put Scorsese to bed.
Yeah.
Not that either of us have seen Joker yet, which is like really just one. It's on us.
Probably next week.
But I read that Joker is probably not getting a release in China, and it's
weird.
yeah, and it's because of something I'm going to be actually talking about in one of these coffee and contemplations coming up. Is that there's been Joker face paint popping up at protests around the world.
Well, neither of
the-
us have seen it, but that movie ends with a huge like mob protest.
Yeah, I mean they allude to that in the fucking trailer and
Yeah.
everything as well.
That
And
there's
so, like,
riots against like the
exactly.
government
and
stuff in Gotham.
you see face paint in the movie
Yeah.
and shit, and or
It
in the
makes
fucking
sense.
trailer and shit. And so like in China, there's obviously been like a huge protest going on in Hong Kong since June, but they're thinking like everybody's just thinking that they're gonna crack down on that, and that's such a huge marketplace for that movie to just like
Yeah.
not hit.
I mean, I think I saw the numbers. It's like 15 Western films get a release in China annually.
Not very much. Hobbs and Shaw, that's where they made their fucking money.
Oh, yeah.
Was in China this last.
That's where all the fucking movies, like all the like popcorn films, make
Dude,
a fuck ton of money.
Fast and Furious 9 is gonna make money over there.
Dude, shit. I think Furious 7 made over $1 billion just in China.
Oh
that
my
movie
God, really?
is like number 5 or something. It's
Yeah.
like one of
I
think
always forget that
there's-
it's like right up there.
there's 2 films on the top 10 highest grossing films list
Mm-hmm.
that aren't Disney movies. And I think one of them is a Fast and Furious movie.
Mike, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Pretty sure one of them is.
And it's probably Furious 7 because that's the one that Paul Walker
Yeah.
died on, had the most press behind it. So
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
that would be a huge hit. It wouldn't be Infinity War if it didn't get released there.
No,
It won't.
I don't think it will.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of it. Like that's where it stops. You
Yeah.
know, it's like, and I've been noticing that more and more the more I like read about movie news. Like,
Yeah.
people start actively like dreading whether or not movies will be like released in China
Yeah.
because that's like a huge marketplace. Like, and then I read that as a matter of fact, there's most rated R movies that come out are not released in China,
I'm not surprised.
which is like.
It's a very heavily vetted film community. I mean, it's the whole thing of
Well, it's just the government doesn't want people to see shit over there.
I mean,
That's
like,
just kind
have
of-
you been seeing this would be a great coffee and contemplation thing, but have you been seeing all the shit with like Blizzard and
Oh,
everybody,
yeah, dude.
everybody catering to
the
that?
fucking NBA's like,
I know.
like
It's infuriating, and I'm not surprised that like big filmmaking companies would take that shit seriously.
I mean, yeah.
It makes sense. It's the fucking evil corporate landscape.
Again, man, it's a huge marketplace.
Yeah, I mean, it's make or break. Like, people
Yeah.
could. Like, I think I saw fucking Gemini Man is one of the movies that got
Oh my
released there.
god, dude!
And
I
it made
heard...
almost all of its money there, but still it's gonna bomb by like
I heard
75 million.
That's it. I heard it bomb, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I gotta be honest. Like, I, as a person, as the Fresh Prince, as like, you know, respect to Will Smith, I was not interested in that movie.
I watched it from the get go, from the first fucking
Mm-hmm.
trailer. I was like, like it doesn't look like much is going on in that film.
I'm still more interested in Bright than I have been in Gemini Man.
What was it? David Ayer said about Bright in an interview that Bright was going to be his Star Wars.
Oh god.
Which, ooh.
Dude, Star Wars.
Did you ever
man.
watch that?
What?
Bright, by the way?
I did. I really thought they could have done better with it. Just as like, I mean, I think they could have built something better.
Intriguing world setup.
And I definitely think that they would have been better served as maybe perhaps developing a series
Yeah, it would
Like,
definitely been
set
better as like a Netflix series.
in that world rather
Yeah.
than like a one shot like a movie. Hey, look, this is all happening. Like,
Yeah. I
Anyway.
mean, I will also say at one point Will Smith in that movie refers to an ogre as Shrek, which is like, so Shrek's in this universe.
Yeah.
And then there's a
is
Mexican
love.
dude who talks about like, you know, they never stopped giving us shit about the Alamo. Like, and I was like, what the fuck? This doesn't make sense.
That's so
Like,
weird.
This context, like, I get the joke, but the context doesn't make any sense.
No.
It's fucking weird.
That movie, man. That movie just didn't work.
Hey, talk about people not giving a fuck and making just like weird, gritty films. David Ayer made Suicide Squad too.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it won an Oscar.
Yeah, won an Oscar. Who
Well, it's
the
like-
fuck?
That's the thing. I think.
But it won the only appropriate Oscar for it.
Yeah, I mean, arguably. Well, what about where do you place Heath Ledger in that? Like Heath Ledger won a Oscar for his performance as a Joker.
Here's my thing. So I feel
16.
like the Oscar for Suicide Squad was good. If it was a acting Oscar, I would have immediately called bullshit.
Oh, for
But
sure.
it was praising the people that I think it was directly for like makeup and costume design, which was the only thing that film had fucking going for it.
Yeah.
Look at I think in the B-roll they show before that Oscar goes up, where they're showing all the contenders, they showed the people doing the makeup for Killer Croc, which wasn't CGI. It was fully prosthetic, which is fucking impressive.
insane.
And the shit they did for that, all the tattoos on El Diablo, they put in. Like,
Why go through so much effort for such a shitty fucking movie?
which I get, but then at the same time, I have a respect for that. I have a respect for the artists that did that.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
for sure.
Heath
Like,
Ledger won a completely appropriate Oscar for that fucking monumental performance in The Dark Knight.
Oh, agreed.
I have respect for the people that earned that Oscar, even though I don't respect Suicide Squad.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like the work that they put in. Like, okay, it's like the costumes, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle costumes in the like the
Yeah.
99
Yep.
movie is fucking awesome. The rest of the movie doesn't hold up.
Not at all.
Like those costumes are actually still pretty cool.
Yeah.
Much respect to the artists that made them, but like
It's
the
like-
rest of that movie's pretty fucking.
It's like The Walking Dead. They won the
yeah.
Emmy for best costume design and best makeup.
But like,
Do I like the show? Fuck no.
like the, janky around the edges? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Speaking of blockbuster films that have been rocking our pants for 30 years, the Star Wars franchise.
Oh my god, man. Star Wars. So the last trailer just came out
Yeah.
for The Rise of Skywalker, which
Oh, yeah.
I gotta be honest, I still don't care for that name.
Well, that's the consensus I've been seeing. I still stand by the fact that like the Jedi, the sort of like gray Jedi medium is going to be called the Skywalker.
I mean, maybe. I don't like. I mean, that would be a cool name for like a
Yeah.
the Skywalkers or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, like, but I just think it's. I don't know. I think it's too in your face.
It's really like hand-fisted
it's
feeling.
really like directly tying this into the Sky. Like this trilogy ends with the Skywalker clan.
Yeah.
Like that's the feeling that you get from a lot of like their advertising and a lot of the trailers and stuff.
Yeah.
They make a big deal of saying like, this is the final.
It's the end of the saga.
End of the saga.
Which I sort of like.
Well,
I'm
I mean,
okay with them just like calling it good after this.
They have to. Like
Yeah.
they can't. Like they just the actors aren't going to be around. The characters aren't going to be around. Like
Yeah.
they have to find some way of making this like hard cut to other things in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, that like it's just it's funny to me because it's just pretty obvious that they're doing.
Yeah. I mean, like, when we look at the critical reception overall to these films, like, the Force Awakens, I had a really good time watching. It got a lot of shit
Definitely.
for being very derivative.
I was really stoked about seeing that in theaters.
Yeah,
Like,
and it was fun.
Yeah, it
Actually,
was.
I think it's a good movie.
yeah.
And but it was very derivative of A New Hope. And I
Definitely.
completely understand that criticism, and I agree with it.
Mm-hmm.
The Last Jedi was disappointing, and, like, I enjoyed it the first time I watched it. Subsequent rewatches, I was like, yeah, it sort of falls apart at the seams a bit. But
Yeah.
I think the first time I watched it, the shock value of like, what the fuck is going on here, was enough for me to be enthusiastic about it.
Totally. That didn't start wearing off for like the first couple of times I watched it, and then like you start like after you watch it like that fucking third time or whatever,
Yeah.
and you're starting to like realize like there are some kind of like janky holes here
Granted,
and there. Like,
granted, it's still, in my opinion, a serviceable film.
oh totally.
Like anybody,
Totally.
I'm not agreeing with the motherfuckers that were setting the girl who played why am I forgetting her name?
Who?
The one who went off with Finn.
oh, Rose or whatever.
Yeah, Rose.
Yeah.
The girl who played Rose had to delete her Instagram because she was getting so much hate mail. Fuck you if you do that. It's
Yeah,
like
that's just some fucking bullshit.
it's like she didn't do a bad job. She worked with what she was given. It's not the girl's fault. So like all the people that were going ape shit and giving all these actors shit, you need to realize they're not the people to blame for it.
oh yeah, well,
And
that's,
it's like
I mean, people running with shit like that so far is like you have to understand that like you need to get something better to fucking do with your life.
As somebody who enjoys
Star Wars.
film and really has like strong opinions regarding filmmaking, like you begin to invalidate your own opinion once you become an asshole. And I understand people grew up with Star Wars and they really care about it.
I am one of those people.
Yeah,
man.
Everybody has the right to voice their criticism and have their own opinion, but I will stop taking you seriously once you're a jackass.
Well, and that's kind of it. Like, know that we're all arguing about a fictitious thing that really doesn't have, like, I don't know, calling somebody out personally is like completely different than like arguing about like the semantics of whether like the Millennium Falcon could make a fucking, you know.
Which I will say, some of the stuff in The Last Jedi, like some of the strong moments in The Last Jedi were some of the strongest moments in the franchise, in my opinion.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, you have like this. You have some very definitive moments in that obviously set up future things for the universe.
The fight with Rey and Kylo Ren in the throne room
was fucking rad, honestly.
It was fucking wicked. That was a great scene.
Word.
And the hyperspace ram was fucking insane.
Intense.
Even if it doesn't, the big criticism on that one was that it doesn't hold up in the lore.
Man.
But you know, in the first movie, Han Solo said, "Oh, it's hyperspace is super dangerous." They left it there.
Yeah.
And like, I get it, but like, fuck it. It was dope. And in the moment when it went completely silent and that happened, there were like audible gasps in the theater, including myself, when I was just going, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, that was definitely one of those holy shit moments.
It was just a cool moment.
Yeah.
And like, even the end of that. At the end where Luke turned out to be a hologram that he was projecting, that was a fucking dope scene.
That was, I mean, like, I honestly, I didn't, like, going into that, I didn't see that happening.
Yeah.
I didn't see him force projecting himself from across the fucking galaxy, basically.
And the entire,
Shit's
like,
nuts.
Subsequent rewatches on that, the detail with that is really cool.
Yeah.
Because, like, you can see there's no red footprints behind him.
Yeah, and that's kind of it, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, that was one of those, like, rather than, like, seeing a hole in it, like, I was like, oh shit, that was, like, a cool, like,
it was a cool moment.
Yeah, more appreciation for it.
I mean, like, that's the closest they'd ever be able to get to Luke being this overpowered beast that he is in some of the extended, like, literature.
I mean, they could have just, like, rolled with some other shit with him, like, but they really did.
It would. I feel like it would be too much if he was this like crazy, just like force bearer like he is. I think there's that.
But
There's the one.
I mean, what about Palpatine though, man?
Yeah.
Like,
well,
Palpatine's this like crazy evil, like force wielding. Like,
well, I feel like that's because he's like bought
thing.
into the dark side, and the dark side is like notably stronger.
Fair. I mean, that's always been the case. Well, arguably, that's always been the case. But.
There's the subsequent stuff in the Star Wars canon, the old canon, where it was the books where like there was that alien race that came from outside the galaxy, the Ulan-Tan or something like that, and they were like they were strong against Force users, and they came to invade like the main Star Wars galaxy, and that's what Palpatine was making the Death Star for. He knew they were coming.
Oh shit.
And so he was starting to defend them. In a battle in those books, Luke uses the Force and subsequently wields 30 lightsabers whilst just kicking ass and pretty much just railing an entire army himself. That's what people wanted from that.
Yeah.
And
which
like,
you're never going to be able to pull that off.
The scene where he got
visually,
blasted by everybody. Well, Adam Driver is fucking awesome as Kylo Ren. I stand by that. Where he's just like yelling for everybody to shoot him.
Yeah.
And he just walks out and like brushes off his shoulder. That was fucking badass.
It was cool.
I don't care if it's a projection. It's a cool moment.
Yeah. But like, yeah, you're right. I mean, like, you're not going to be able to get like these like ridiculous, you know, like force moments in a movie like that.
It's like what we all expected. It's like something on that level of Captain America picking up Thor's hammer. Like there needs to be more set up to that. And Star Wars hasn't had like 30 movies.
Yeah, you're definitely right. Like, and case in point is like that moment. I love that that Princess Leia is this kind of like underspoken Force user, right?
Yeah.
But there's that moment where she like gets blasted out of the ship. And
I thought that's how they were gonna kill her.
I thought that was too. But like she gets blasted out of the ship and like survives outer space, and then like Force pulls herself back to the fucking ship, and you're like, holy shit! Like I've never seen her use the Force before at all. There's no context for this, it looks just like absolutely crazy. Like,
all the shooting stars memes.
like I instantly, I remember like that moment. I was just like, and I love Carrie Fisher. I
Yeah.
love Princess Leia. Like I was Princess Leia for Halloween, like not too long ago, and like I was just like, what the fuck is this? Like,
It's a cool moment in theory.
in theory,
But it would've
like when
been-
they
it
were
would've-
writing it out, they're like, oh, dude, she's gonna look so badass doing this. And
It looked sort of janky. The thing that stuck with me in that moment was that Akbar died. the
Yo, I heard that they're bringing Admiral Akbar's kid into like some
Yeah.
sort of canon.
there's an well, you see, I guess like he's a Mon Calamari or something.
yeah.
And which is just a funny name to me.
For a race of fish people.
Yeah. Well, I guess in the new trailer, which is what we're leading up to talking about here, they see all the ships behind the Millennium Falcon, which is a badass shot.
Yo.
There's a ton of Calamari, which are the huge cruisers that
Yeah.
the Rebellion used.
Yep. Yeah, that was like in Return of the Jedi. A lot of like the ships that you like. Those
Yeah,
big
they're like
cruiser
flag
ships are
ships.
calamari ships.
Yeah.
Mon calamari ships. I
Deep
suppose.
fried.
Deep fried. Shit.
They have a little dipping sauce right beside
Oh
them.
man.
No, but the new trailer looks fucking dope.
It really does.
It really, like, we still don't know what we're getting out of this, but like I mentioned this to you before we recorded, it has that like gravitas that you'd expect from Star Wars.
Oh yeah. It looks like it's. I mean, it looks like it's just gonna be it looks like it's gonna be a heavy Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Honestly, like
you see
it's not
the-
gonna be one of those like. I mean, it's not gonna be one of those prequel trilogy like
Yeah.
fluffers. It's like
I'm honestly with them being like, with this being like the end of the saga.
Yeah.
I want like Rogue One levels of like fucking carnage war movie.
Absolutely, man.
Like-
well, because I mean, they better have learned that lesson. Like the Rogue One was well received, man.
Yeah.
I mean, like people,
Rogue One was fucking dope.
it was dope. It was dark. It was like awesome.
That last like 30 minutes of Rogue One, where all those heroes are going out in blazes of glory.
dude, it was so fucking intense.
Yeah, it was awesome. And my girlfriend was next to me, and she always gets so fucking invested in films, just sort of like crying just a bit.
Yeah.
Especially when the fucking ninja dude, the blind dude,
yeah,
Daredevil from Star Wars, is walking forward. Like, what a great scene. That just entire last 30 minutes is just like what I sort of hope they do a bit of at the end of this movie.
You know where I think they're gonna touch on that kind of feeling
What?
with the horses, man.
Oh,
With the
fucking
space
Braveheart in
horses.
space.
Yeah, Braveheart in space. If
Where
you
they're
watch
running
the trailer,
down the
which
side of a Star Destroyer.
yeah. If you haven't watched the trailer, definitely go do that because like you'll notice that shot where
It looks fucking dope.
there's all these Star Destroyers lifting off, like, or lifting up, and
Yeah.
and there's just like a row of your heroes and your
I think
rebels.
it looks like
looks
Finn and Poe are on them.
like you're leading them. It looks
Yeah.
like and
And
they're just,
BB-8's
riding
rolling
these,
right beside them.
riding these space horses on the side of a starship in the middle of this like what looks like a huge
Armada.
battle armada. Like,
Yeah. I was like, it's a fucking dope shot.
It's intense.
And they put it in there right when the music is swelling.
Oh my god, dude, the
So
music.
you totally get that, like, this is fucking it vibe.
yeah.
And I'm just excited to see what they do with Palpatine.
Dude, I'm so excited to see what they do with Palpatine. Palpatine's like when I was a kid, Palpatine was like this ultimate evil force to me. Like
When in reality, he only showed up for Return of the
he
Jedi.
only showed up for Return of the Jedi, but the implication was that this was the evil that was like ruling everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like to see him like be like returned
Yeah.
is just like, oh my god, what are they gonna do with that character? And they better not just like Snoke him where it's like they really
Snoke him.
they kill him really quick and then like or
Which-
something like that. But like
I will say that, like, first viewing of Last Jedi, with how they'd set up Snoke to be this, like, weirdly omnipresent
I
villain.
thought there was gonna be some
It was
grander thing.
I
with
will
him,
say my immediate reaction was like, oh, that's fucking ballsy.
well,
Like,
and that's what you said earlier to me today was perhaps like it was maybe like a botched creation in an attempt to revitalize Palpatine.
there was a ton
something.
of, in like the Star Wars novels, in like after the original trilogy, there was a ton of stuff about Snoke cloning him, or not Snoke, but
Palpatine
cloning himself. And at one point, he cloned himself, and Luke became like an insider and became his apprentice.
Yeah.
And it's just like sort of this interesting dynamic that they could do.
Yeah, and they almost seem to be alluding to
Yeah.
with some of these shots in the trailers. That
I
they've
mean,
released.
and like I mentioned to you, I thought that Rey, in that little, like, when she showed up with the red lightsaber, I think that her entire deal is going to be that she is one of those clones.
Oh,
and
man, that'd be so intense.
talking with one of our other coworkers about this, Ryan.
Oh yeah.
And he's of the same perspective. He sort of sold me on it. That like the reason that she doesn't remember her past or anything is that's all fucking fabricated.
Yeah, I mean,
and
that
that the
makes
reason
sense.
that she's so fucking powerful in the Force naturally is because she's essentially Palpatine's daughter.
Well, it seems like you have to be one of two, like from one of two bloodlines at this point, like from like Palpatine to like or Skywalker.
Yeah.
Like those seem to be like the two.
Or
like,
you have
major...
to be really, really fucking evil.
Yeah,
that's
like,
pretty much
well,
it.
basically, it's like it's either like in your blood or you're really fucking evil.
Yeah,
Like,
like the reason that Darth Maul was so fucking powerful
Yeah.
was because he just hated everyone.
Well, oh man, well, yeah. Well, and that like Darth Maul would be such. I mean, they're clearly trying to do a little more with Darth Maul.
Yeah.
As a character, which would be interesting. But,
Yeah.
You're right though. Like it's like I mean, there's like it just seems so weird to like say. I don't know, like this. I've been believing that Rey's a Skywalker, secret Skywalker for this entire fucking time almost.
Well, I thought,
But like that's such an interesting idea that she might be a clone of Palpatine.
yeah,
But like
that just turned out to be a girl.
Yeah.
Like I think looking back at some of the weirder stuff that they've sort of tried, there are theories that I've seen. One of them I really liked. So in the Clone Wars, there's a big thing about Obi-Wan in one of the sort of like short trilogies they did on Clone Wars episodes. He almost left the Jedi Order to be with like this queen of another race.
oh shit,
And like
Obi-Wan.
Get in some action. And there's that whole theory that she was Obi-Wan's daughter.
Yeah.
And it was essentially just centered around both of them being the only characters that have British accents.
Well, and there was like one time at a panel I think
Yeah.
that she had like a card up for, and it was like her character name was on the card and said
Yeah.
Rey Kenobi.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
And so it was like, but like ever since then it's been like quiet.
Yeah. I doubt that's the truth, but it's just one of those like,
too.
in the moment I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That'd be fucking nuts. But man, I'm excited to see how they wrap it up because, like I said, like Star Wars has been such a huge part of my fandom forever that like I love the original trilogy for what they are.
Yeah.
The prequels, I remember being hyped on them and being let down by them.
Yeah.
Like it's been a weird mix with this trilogy, but like I'm still stoked for like another one.
You have that weird perspective that you don't have a weird perspective. I actually agree with yours if I were you, but I have a weird perspective in the sense that I was the first movies I remember watching as a kid were the prequels.
Yeah, which is so different.
Because, like for all you listening, I was born in '98.
Yeah.
Like this is. Like, I remember watching the prequels as a little kid and having my fucking mind blown. He's like, at that point, I didn't give a shit about dodgy CGI. I didn't give a shit about the weird writing. It was more so like, what a cool world to look into.
Yeah.
Like
that was like the reason why I liked those movies too was because it was just like it was a crazy world to dive into because it was so much more expansive than the other one was.
You could tell, and then like looking at the then watching the original trilogy, because I think for me I watched them in chronological order originally.
Yeah.
And then going to the original trilogy, I didn't think anything of it because the old effects were so good.
Yeah,
like,
at least in like the second, like the 5 and 6, like the A New Hope is sort of hard. It's hard to capture like I imagine it's really hard to capture like kids' attention these days. Like kids like are like fucking 12 or younger.
Oh, crazy!
I bet it'd be so hard to get them to sit down and watch A New Hope now because like those effects don't really hold up. But even like Empire Strikes Back, looks fucking slick still, man.
I think most of the time when the best moments for like A New Hope is like when they're using the model stuff.
Totally.
And not like the stop motion sort of weirdness that there is in some of those films.
Yeah.
That doesn't hold up as well, but when it's models, it looks fucking great.
Well, and what sucks is that like if Lucas would have just fucking left them, like they would have become classics. But when he continued to kind of go back and like keep fucking with them and adding CGI improvements,
that made it sort of dodgy.
Like, yeah, well, it made him like look jankier, and it made him just like it instantly took away that like classic appeal because then you get all this like classic footage, and then it's like this hard cut to like a CGI
you can't
job
find
of
the classics anymore,
and so
which sucks.
Yeah, like, I think I own one of those trilogies.
Yeah,
but like before there was like re-release, really, but like yeah, I don't know, like anyway. Where Star Wars is at now, though, is so fucking interesting because they're finally at this launching point where they're going to dig into other aspects of the universe.
Yeah.
Like, I was just reading that Obi-Wan motherfucking McGregor was doing an interview on like a talk show, and they asked him how long he had been camping on the news that he was going to be playing Obi-Wan again.
Didn't he say like 5 years?
He said 4 years.
Yeah.
And he was saying that it was like he was like stressed out about it for his entire 4 years. And so I'm stoked to see other aspects of the universe finally getting explored.
I'm intrigued,
and I'm just really, as a fan, I'm really excited that they're taking the time to try to wrap up what essentially is these characters.
Yeah.
Like these characters' stories. Like we're seeing the end of Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Leia, all these fucking people. And we're getting into The Mandalorian, Obi-Wan Kenobi,
and it's like
a brand new world of like all this other shit.
As I'm excited to watch this final film, because I'm really hoping it's good. If there's one thing that J.J. Abrams does, is he makes consistently good movies.
Yeah, and I'm holding my breath that this is going to be a good movie.
Yeah,
like,
I think.
I really am.
Did you ever see Kevin Smith's interview where he's talking about this? And he says that he went to set, and J.J. Abrams refused to show him the last set because
he did
the movie.
He knew as a fan it would ruin it for him. Or whatever,
and that it would be a mind-blowing thing to see in theaters.
Yeah, that shit's fucking like that is like such a tease.
Yeah,
like,
what a fucking tease.
Because like that's like you're talking about. Oh man, I don't know.
So I'm excited for them to wrap up the whole Skywalker theme because it opens up new space for like you said, The Mandalorian. We can dive further into Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
And even like maybe I'm really hoping because I played those games that they eventually do the Old Republic.
Yeah, dude. Like that, some of that shit would be really, really fucking awesome to dig up. Old Republic. I don't know why they've been camping on that fucking. It's so good for so long. I mean,
those games have such cool lore.
It was so popular.
Yeah.
Like that, like it would be I think it would be an instant hit.
And it's in a position in the timeline where it's so far back you can show the roots of everything whilst developing new stories that people care about.
Yeah, exactly. And you wouldn't have to fuck with existing things for a while.
And it was at that point what's most intriguing to me. It was before the Rule of Two with the Sith.
Yeah.
So like there's a fuck ton of Sith lords. And it's just intriguing to me what they can do with all of it.
Speaking of Sith, okay, so...
Speaking of Sith.
So we were watching... You pointed out that C-3PO in this final trailer, he's hooked up to some computer, and then the trailer before that, he had
glowing red eyes.
Those glowing red eyes.
Yeah.
And what was the theory you had?
So I saw a theory that they find, like, in order to find where Palpatine is hiding, they need to read, like, a Sith tablet, and that's one of the languages that C-3PO doesn't know how to read. So they have to modify him in some sense, but because it's Sith, it's inherently evil, and something bad is going to happen to him by reading to it. So... the fuck knows. That explains the like weirdly bright red.
For real though.
Yeah.
Like,
because it's sort of, I remember that when that trailer came out, putting everybody off. Like something, what the fuck is going on here?
It was like what evil C-3PO?
Yeah, exactly. That was sort of what we immediately got.
But
so that
maybe
would make sense.
it is, man.
Yeah.
Evil C-3PO.
I saw a theory recently that was like, what if they're like combat modifying him? And I was
shit.
That would be fucking corny.
For the first time in fucking 9 movies.
Yeah,
they give him a gun.
Talk about cheapening Star Wars.
No,
I don't want to see 3PO. I don't want to see 3PO fight.
I do not.
We already saw R2D2 kicking battle droids' asses.
Yeah, which is
in the prequels, which is the one part that I was like, ah.
Yeah, that was weird. I'm not stoked about that. I read this thing, a rumor about the movie that was suggesting perhaps we could see an appearance of Luke's green lightsaber.
Who?
Because we see Luke use it in when he's like attacking Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
And then we don't see it the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
He uses a blue lightsaber in his force projection.
Yeah.
And so the theory is that like R2D2, who has stored that lightsaber
intriguing.
before, might be like popping that shit out at the end, and it might make an appearance in the final battle with
double-sided lightsaber.
Emperor. That'd be so, oh my god, dude.
Double-sided lightsaber, one blue, one green.
There it is.
Fucking dope.
That'd be a representation of the different like class levels of Jedi. So like in one.
Just to throw this out there, the entire time,
blown.
because I didn't realize Luke had made that lightsaber.
Yeah.
Because I watched the prequels first, the entire time I thought that was Yoda's lightsaber that Yoda had like given him before he died.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
Like,
I wonder what Yoda. I wonder if Yoda did give. Like,
maybe that's the crystal.
That would be intense.
That'd be fucking dope.
That'd be such a fucking cool thing to write in there. Honestly.
So because we're getting close to wrapping up.
Yeah.
Next week, I want to talk to you about Absolute Carnage because that shit's getting crazy.
Oh shit.
And then also, I watched Zombieland.
Yeah.
Which we were going to talk about briefly.
We talked about Star Wars.
I'll just throw it out there. Worth watching.
Yeah.
Fucking great film. I thoroughly enjoyed going out there with some friends and watching it. When you eventually watch it, we'll have to talk about it more. But yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I want to check it out. I remember that first one was just fucking hilarious out the gate. It just it was such a fresh take on zombies.
Yeah. If you enjoyed the first one, you'll enjoy this one. That's all I gotta say so far.
Fair enough. We got some more podcasts coming up. We got an In Tune coming out.
Yeah, haven't put a few of those out in a couple weeks. Just been in the midst of a lot of stuff going on. But you know,
I've got a herniated disc, man. We're not putting podcasts out all the time.
Yeah, I'm moving.
Yeah.
It's like, we can't do all that shit.
We got life too, listener.
Yeah.
Okay?
How dare you?
How dare you? But that being said, we'll put out some more podcasts.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening if you are. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Old Heart Radio, or on Twitter at Old Heart in Space.
Yep.
And I don't know, man.
Yeah. Good stuff. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Matinee Edition 22.
Have a good day.